everyone. This is a Race Select Community Podcast. Yay! And I am Ryan Graff, and we have Charles Armstrong.
Hello.
Fernando Rodriguez, and Charles Rocky.
I'm only being paid $10 to be here, so that means I'm here for about 10 more seconds.
Shh! No one's supposed to know that.
All right. So, who
yeah.
do I sue, and how soon do I do it?
Do it right now.
And sue Fernando.
Exactly. Wait, what?
No one believes Fernando has money.
Yeah, nobody believes that. Because it's completely true.
Not even I'm that brash when it comes to something like that.
Jeez, okay.
Fun start, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, like, all I can
High
think about
energy.
now, and I was going to mention this before, all I can think about now was I had listened to that podcast where Jeff was talking about the Rage Select Community Podcast briefly,
And
and all I think to myself was like, yeah, I'm sure this isn't helping our case any.
Right.
we just, out of our 20 viewers, we lost 5. God damn it.
I think you're being too nice. It's more like 10.
They've really gone down, haven't they?
Well, it's just because
Really
we've
gone
been.
down.
It's really just because it's been so disjointed in my time, and I need to start getting my shit together more or less and start posting back on Wednesdays. It's just been kind of hectic for me for the past couple of weeks. So
It's fine. You're not getting paid for this, so we don't care.
I still feel bad.
No, but anyway, we're the Rage Select Community Podcast people. We have energy and stories, goddammit, and we're going to deliver them, right?
At least
Not the
one of
only
those
one who
things
heard
is true.
Cotcast, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I'm not the only one that said Cotcast. Right?
That's not the name of our show? Fuck.
Oh.
I've been saying it.
No, you see, Comcast is the cable company that fucks you, but still less than Comcast.
There's a
I can dig
cable.
it.
Isn't by just the law of Comcast itself that there's only cable companies that fuck you less at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Comcast is the only cable company that actually sends out burly men to come out there and fuck you in the ass.
Yeah, it was strange. I was dealing with the customer service once, and then I heard "bring out the GIMP," and I just hanged up immediately because I got scared.
It's like, well, this is the wrong number. No, you have Comcast, right?
Yes, someone will be by there between the hours of 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. the next day.
Actually, you know what? The weird thing of Comcast, their cable delivery repair guys never come on the right time, but their GIMP's always punctual. It's really strange.
The least they could do is teach their gimps how to work cable.
Oh, that's too much, man. I mean, they already know how to be punctual. You can't expect any more out of them.
They're punctual in more ways than one. Wink, wink.
Well, it's as Gandalf once said, they never come early, they never come late. They come exactly when your asshole is at the worst possible moment to be cummed inside.
What?
Was this Gandalf or Ian McKellen?
Both.
Come
Come on, man. He was lonely on that. He was lonely on that long fellowship. He must have thought to himself, I can get anyone right now if I so choose.
Well, we all know that Dumbledore and Gandalf were secretly doing it the whole time. Come on.
Yeah, cross-dimensional.
Exactly.
Cross.
So you did read my fanfic.
all you would need is some super hulock in there, and you'd be golden.
Oh god.
Yeah, man, there was like 36 volumes of this fanfic, man. It was really, really in depth. It was It got really strange when Captain Jack Harkness was fucking Gandalf while fucking a Triceratops. Things just went crazy.
Ain't nothing
Why-
strange about that. That's just art.
There you have to go, bringing bestiality into it.
Yeah.
And then-
Armstrong comes bursting out of his door, and he's like, "This is it, my masterpiece."
Wait, what do you mean by comes bursting?
Oh, you know what it is.
Well, as we've established on previous podcasts, Armstrong is the one that regularly gives us advice about how to search for porn on Bing and where to go to find Rule 34.
One time.
That's one time too many.
Yeah.
Is it,
one
though?
time's all you need.
It's like when I was listening to Leog where Jason was like, hey, you know what? Ant-Man just hit his wife once. Well, that's the only time you need to hit your wife in order to be called a wife abuser.
Yeah.
Look, you mentioned searching porn on Bing once, and that's it. Like, you pretty much marked yourself at that point.
I mean, just the fact that you admit to using Bing is enough, right?
I heard it from Aaron Hansen on Game Grumps, okay? So
Listen,
that did not start from me.
It's not that Armstrong is wrong. It's just he was dumb enough to admit it.
Like, I have shame.
He works for Rachel, like, guys, come on.
Okay, can we move on to the news now? Please.
I like how
What's the
you're the
first
one
news
saying that
story?
now instead of Armstrong.
I thought this was new sequitur. This was sequiturs. Fuck it. Let's move on. Nonsense sequiturs. There we go.
Alright, so let's start with the one everyone's talking about this week, Fallout 4 trailer. Yay!
What? There was a Fallout 4 trailer? Nobody told me! God damn it!
I thought it was a trailer for Fallout 3.
Oh!
Shut
Let's
up.
start with that. I don't give a
I'm joking.
fuck.
Okay, in all fairness, it doesn't, like, people are saying, like, oh, this just looks like Fallout 3. No, it fucking doesn't. It looks like Skyrim with basically a Fallout skin on it, which there's nothing wrong with that.
It looks like Fallout 3 if you added color and sunlight to it.
And smoothed out the edges.
And smooth out the edges.
Like, honestly,
That's
like, what, no one, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure no one lavished Fallout 3 for its graphics. I mean, it was decent.
I know.
It was amazing.
I know some very ardent Fallout fans that at the time they came out, they would not shut the fuck up about it. They were just so adamant, but like, these graphics look amazing, and it'd be like, they look as bad as Oblivion. No, it doesn't. You're just not paying attention to the animations properly.
I mean, if there's anything to be said about Fallout, it's not the graphical superiority we've always come accustomed to with Fallout. No. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure we can all come to agreement on this, that this was a pretty interesting looking trailer, and I don't know if it was just me, but I was like,
you didn't have Ron Perlman in there, goddammit.
I don't know if it was just me, but I was like, I want that dog now. I was like, look at the cute little puppy.
Well, that's always been a thing for these Fallout games, except for, I believe, New Vegas, where it's like, oh, you always bring in the dog at some point that you can have as, like, a companion.
I'm going to name him Commander, just for the hell of it.
I think it's kind of funny. I mean, you got the really adorable dog, but then you have the fucked up name, which is called Dog Meat.
Hey man, in this new world, there are no rules. I will say, though, from the trailer, I am kind of interested to see not just the fact that there is more color to it, but just what appears to be quite the difference in locales that they had shown.
Oh yeah, there was because everything in Fallout 3 and even New Vegas, Fallout 3 just kind of had this greenish
stale.
gray brown look, and New Vegas had this just brownish brown look.
Yeah.
Everything was
It showed multiple locations, and they all seem to have their own flavor to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
So,
everything
yeah, that
has like a lot more red and a lot more like a little bit blue and stuff like that into the game, and I like that because I mean I like Fallout 3 a lot, and New Vegas I like a little bit less, but I still like it. But
I think
yeah,
New Vegas
it's
actually
very
did a few
stale.
things better than 3, but yeah, on the whole was a weaker game in some parts.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I actually did like in New Vegas, and I kind of hope they bring back here in Fallout 4, is the removal of the karma system in favor of faction loyalty. Because that always made a bit more sense to me than the stupid, oh, you're suddenly arbitrarily a good guy or a bad guy in this world where the rules are kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, in a place that makes Mad Max kind of blush.
Yeah, it's like, in that case, like, faction loyalty would make a lot more sense than, like, being objectively good or evil.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense than just like, oh, you've reached level Satan.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the goal in life, to reach level Satan, if you really want
I
to get
liked being Satan in those games.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, they had some really great stuff where it's like a spoiler for Fallout 3, but it's like one of the first quests you get is, hey, do you want to start this nuclear bomb in the middle of this town and watch it go off?
The answer to that question is yes.
Then go ahead.
It's like whenever somebody asks you if you're a god and if you want to just activate this nuclear bomb in the midst of a city, the answer is always yes. Oh shit, I think I'm on an NSA watch list now. Fuck.
But yeah, I mean, well,
Fernando,
apparently...
don't kid yourself. The NSA doesn't waste their time with this podcast.
That is true.
Even they just like listen to the first part and it's like, scratch it off the record. It's not worth listening to.
Yeah,
they already have my phone's metadata, so they're fine.
Yeah. But well, apparently this is gonna be like set in like Boston, Massachusetts, or some shit. Which is like
they showed like Fenway Park and the
dome, the gold dome thing that's part of that.
I wonder if they could just set it in Detroit in modern day and just call that Fallout 4, Fallout 5.
You see that
modern day Detroit Fallout.
It turns out Detroit is actually like surviving amazingly because it's like, well, shit, we were already bad. We were already pretty fucked before the apocalypse. We were able to survive great.
So it would kind of be like how, like Mad Max, like they can't tell the difference because Australia before and after the nuclear apocalypse.
Yeah.
Detroit is the same way. You can't tell whether or not it's been hit by a nuclear apocalypse or not.
Turns out it's actually just a Truman Show-esque thing where like when you actually reach the border of Detroit, you're like, oh, it's actually nice outside.
So that's Fallout 4 and 5 confirmed.
Yeah, there isn't really a lot to say because we haven't seen gameplay, but one of the things I liked about this trailer especially is that it seemed like, unlike other bullshot trailers where they're like, in-engine footage, and you're like, no, it's fucking not. Or like, you shot it in-engine and then you touched it up to hell to make it look amazing. This actually looks like it could have been like directly from the game as it is.
Cough, cough, Battlefront 3.
It is nice because like I do like some CGI trailers because I like the Assassin's Creed ones because they make those real fun and all, but it's like I do like it when you actually do show the gameplay or what the game really is going to look like instead of just spending thousands of dollars on a fucking CGI trailer.
Well, CGI isn't bad for a teaser if the intent is trying to set up the atmosphere for the project.
Right.
Not a good way necessarily to prove that the project's going to be good.
I think a good CGI trailer might do well to like, okay, here's our announcing of our game because it brings in a lot of people that aren't familiar with the game, an idea of what the game is. Kind of like what they did with the badass Star Wars The Old Republic trailers.
I'd actually argue that the Bloodborne CGI trailer, which was like the premiere trailer, was actually pretty decent on that front too.
Yeah. But then I think with those type of trailers, you just follow it up very closely with some actual gameplay. Maybe not within the trailer, but like after the trailer or something. Just to like, here's our tone and here's our gameplay, so we can sell you an accurate picture of the product you're getting.
Which leads us to believe that they're most likely going to show us, if not like an extended gameplay thing, a gameplay trailer during their E3 conference.
Yeah, I think the one thing I really liked about this trailer was that it would show you how everything is going down now, like in the present, and then it would switch to what happened before all the bombs and everything went to shit. And it would switch back and forth and be like, okay, here's how these people used to live. Here's how all this stuff kind of went down for everyone. And I like that part. And I'm hoping they actually they somehow put that in the game where it's like, oh yeah, at some point you're going to somehow, in a mission maybe, see how, the other half lived, how these people were before.
Well, I mean, they did that in the previous Fallout and Fallout 3, I know, but it was only a simulation of that fact. I wonder if this game is going to kind of explore more of the pre-apocalypse with some flashbacks missions, and maybe you got to kind of do like, oh, we need to like read this story here real quickly of what happened to Jebediah before the Armageddon, or he figured, and then it's somehow like we need to reverse something, and who knows, maybe the story will be interweave in between a character from the past and a character from the present, and then it somehow meets up at the end.
For all you know, it's actually the main character who's having these flashbacks, because you don't even know what's going on with the vaults, because it's well known that all these vaults were just made to fuck with people. These were like tests. Every single one was just a gigantic test. Like the
And
very
who knows?
first one that was talked about was like, oh, let's see what would happen if these water purifiers broke down every 40 years or so. And then Fallout, the last vault in Fallout 3 was like, okay, let's see if no one can ever get out. Let's see how people are going to react to that.
Mhm. Yeah, and who knows how long ago this vault was open and what year this game actually takes place. For all we know, it could take place 10 years after the Armageddon.
Or shit, it's like, maybe this vault was like, okay, let's see if we freeze people, basically, like suspend them in animation or something, and then just throw them out there. Let's see what happens then. For you know, yeah?
Let's see what happened in the vault with Morden Joe. I want to see what happened in that vault.
Yeah. And I'd be down for that.
There's going to be a lot of chrome spraying and Valhalla yelling. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. What a lovely day.
So any other thoughts on Fallout 4 before we move on?
Hope it's good.
Yeah. What you were saying about the whole, like, head back to the, like, show us the past times. I kind of don't hope they do that, because
I like
disinterests me more about post-apocalypse areas is showing us what happened before the apocalypse. I like the whole idea of you don't really get to know what exactly happened, and you're just kind of piecing together the story yourself. Anything that's moving back and forth, if it's like the opening 30 minutes of the game is like you get to play in this setting right before the bombs go off, sure, that would be an interesting way to open the game. I don't really want to be cutting back and forth between.
So you mean something kind of like
The
Last of Us, where it opened with the start of the apocalypse and then it moved on to way in the 20 years in the future?
It sets up the world for people who aren't that familiar with it and gives you a general kind of tone of the game. But if you keep cutting back and forth between it, it just kind of breaks the immersion.
Its edge.
And it feels like they're trying. It would feel like they're trying to tell us too hard to tell a story in a game that if we're going off the previous New Vegas, and I haven't played Fallout 1 and 2 or any of the other ones, so the ones I've played are 3 in New Vegas. If we're going off those, then kind of the point of those games is you make your own story.
Yeah. That is a good point, because like if you explain way too much of anything, it just seems like, okay, one, you're overloading me with information. Two, this world that you built, it feels cheapened now because I haven't found this shit out by myself, more or less. Or again, you're shoving all this information down my throat.
So it's the horror movie monster argument where the more you know about Jason, Freddy, and Michael Myers,
or
the
the
less
Slender
you hear
Man,
them.
yeah.
I can get that.
That's understandable.
Maybe I'm not like saying, maybe something like you pay small segments, kind of like with The Witcher 3 and the Siri parts. Like you just play these small segments in the past to give you somewhat of an idea, and how maybe that's just only for the main story. You just see like these little flashbacks to give you an idea of like where you going on, or you're just reading back. I don't think like the whole game should switch between, but maybe just small parts.
Like something like Metro 20, the Metro games does, where it's like, okay, here's a flashback of these certain people and what they were doing, like for like a couple of seconds before the bombs hit, before everything.
And if it's unintrusive and it works well in the game, then I probably won't mind it. But I just don't want to. I've been reading about people saying they're like, oh, you play half of the game and then it cuts back and you play like an hour or two in the older thing. It's like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, that would be more confusing. And
that seems kind of like a bore then at that point.
And yeah, it is true. It's like I remember just to go to a movie, people were talking about what was it? They were going to reboot Escape from New York, and one of the ideas was, we're going to go into the past of Snake Plissken and all, and it's like, well, now you're just cheapening that character.
Aren't they still doing
that? Now you want to explain this dude and all of his mystery, and you want to go into long shit about explaining who he is when that's not the appeal of that character.
I mean, if anything, they're going to...
Escape from New York.
If anything, they should remake the
It's fun.
far superior movie Escape from L.A. I mean, come on, guys, right?
Doesn't he surf on a jet at one point, or is that
I think.
I
Maybe.
believe that happens in that
Oh,
movie. Yes.
I'm thinking of the fourth Die Hard movie.
Oh, God. Didn't those go downhill, like, horribly?
There was only really 2 good Die Hard films. Let's
Yeah,
be real.
It was the
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson one and the first
The
one.
first one.
Yeah. And
And then
it.
the second one that had a presidential candidate on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm Mike Huckabee. I was in Die Hard too. Great.
It was
Nobody
in
gives a
Die Hard
shit.
too.
Awesome.
I thought
Fred
it was,
was.
I thought it was Fred Thompson or something like that. That was in the.
Oh yeah. It was one of the candidates. I don't care.
It's a candidate that's gone away so far away that he's not even running anymore for anything at this point.
Yeah, like, that dude's gone.
Yeah, Mike Huckabee is still around. He just won't go away. He's like
He's like a lich.
no, because I prefer liches over Mike Huckabee.
Alright, well, enough about that. Anything else about the trailer, or should we move on to the next one?
Let's just speculate. Do you think this is going to be announced for this year, or are we gonna?
2016.
Maybe next year, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna go next year. Like,
I mean, they've been working on it for a while, so it's not like the game's not all the way. It's not like the game is like just barely started.
Although
But
apparently
I
I
can see
remember, I recall hearing that I didn't see it myself. That the Steam page had a release date said TBD 2015. That could just mean nothing. Like, oh, whoever made it just didn't know, or that could have
It was
been a
probably
leak.
just a template thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until the people. I'm gonna wait when they actually, like, say, oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it's
this is the date, and
It's
even then I'm
very
gonna doubt it.
rarely we'll see something like this where like a game will just get a trailer and then like, oh, the same year it comes out, especially when we're almost halfway through the year. That's very rare.
Yeah.
I doubt this is a game where, like Fallout 4, it would be like, oh, it's only coming out 6 months later. No, this is a game they're going to want to try and capitalize on that advertisement as much as they can. So they're going to want to give themselves a few more months.
Like the earliest I could see this even possibly remotely coming out is maybe Q1 of 2016, but even that's doubtful.
I'd say March is the earliest, honestly.
Yeah, me too. I would honestly say, like, that's the earliest that I could possibly think of.
Like I wouldn't be surprised this comes out October of next year.
That'd be more
Yeah,
reasonable.
it's very possible.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we'll go on to the next one, which is XCOM, and not the shitty, third-person shooter XCOM. We're talking
The
about
Bureau
that was
XCOM
the Bureau.
Declassified.
That was so awful, and
You know what?
that got
you know what annoyed me about that game,
over
actually?
so bad.
But you know what actually annoyed me about that game? Which was when they had the original trailer for what they wanted the game to be,
It looked cool.
it actually kind of looked cool, and then those fucking spazoids online were like, well, it's not the tactics game, so I'm not
Exactly.
going to like it. And then when Enemy Unknown came out, it definitely seems that because everyone's like, well, just make this again. Just please make this again. Make this the other XCOM game. And they were already dedicated to making sure it's like, ugh, well, fucking fine. We'll include the tactics elements from that game into the shooter. I honestly think that's kind of what broke that game apart.
Oh,
I don't know if it was exactly people complaining. I think it was probably a matter of, we're going to totally focus on the Bureau, or it was the Bureau, on the Bureau, and we'll just kind of let these other people do this XCOM reboot, whatever. And then the XCOM reboot was so fucking overwhelmingly people loved it, and it sold really well on the PC at least. That they were like, oh shit, the people who actually are interested in this brand want to play that, and that game sold a lot better than we expected to. Let's implement these elements into this game.
Which was a
I
bad
doubt it
call
was
all
very much
around.
people bitching, because that rarely affects games. I think it was just sheer number of, oh crap, we didn't expect that game to sell that much.
I don't know. I personally think it was a little bit of both, where it was like, oh shit, this XCOM game, this strategy game, got really big, and we didn't expect that. And I think and then it was people bitching, saying, "Oh my god, this is so amazing! Make it more like this! Make it more like this! Fuck a first-person shooter," which is just ridiculous because it looked real fun and it looked pretty interesting. But
I think the problem with that is like a lot of just publisher interference. I think that's the main, like that's what that game played of. Like too many ideas that were wanting to be implemented, like the RTS, that a lot of the other stuff that was probably the better parts of the game lost a lot of work on because they had to focus on other stuff. So, I mean, I think like the first thing I think about that game is like this game has a lot of potential, a lot of interesting things could have been done with it, but they try to do too many things and implement too many things, and it overall just made it weaker.
yeah, but
2K's never been a very good publisher.
no, they really haven't.
That's why I think Rockstar's just like, shut the fuck up, we're gonna make our game, and you just stay over there.
Yeah, let us
That's
do
not
what
a-
we've been doing.
Is it not
Thinking of the
2K?
wrong people. They're Take-Two.
Oh, it's Take-Two? Fuck.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, Rockstar's Take-Two.
2K's the ones that also do Borderlands, right?
Yeah, Borderlands,
Previously
Bioshock. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And Evolve.
Oh,
Ooh, the
God.
Everyone's favorite.
Yeah, talk about something that came by and went. Like, does anyone actually play that anymore? Or?
No.
They keep. It,
Well-
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a sequel to Evolve because I think it sold like 3 million copies, and that's not bad, but
It's not amazing.
It didn't seem to have any staying power. It was one of those games that a lot of people got excited for because it was like the guys that brought you Left 4 Dead and there's monsters and shit like that. And it had a lot of like publicity behind it, both negative and positive. So it kind of sold quite a bit of copies. Because 3 million for a new franchise and a non-established franchise like that is actually pretty good.
Yeah, when it comes to it, like a new franchise, I mean, I don't think it helped when they're like, "Oh yeah, here's like $100 worth of DLC to buy on the first day."
On
It's
day
like,
one.
Yeah, on day one is like, go fuck yourself.
And then
guys.
wasn't there like a monster, like a whole monster out of like, were there 4 or 3 monsters that you couldn't play if you didn't pre-order it too? It was really...
There was quite a bit of content that was reserved exclusively for pre-order.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's just like, this was bad marketing on all fronts. And the thing was, is it didn't feel like decisions made by 2K. It felt like stuff that Turtle Rock was like, this is our shit that we're doing.
Yeah. But to get back to trailers and everything, XCOM, Enemy Unknown is getting a sequel, and apparently it's going to be PC exclusive for now.
But as we saw with the trailer, now it's not that, when we say this, it's not as if we're saying like the trailer looks bad graphically. It's just that
It looks the same as
graphically,
the
it doesn't-
last one, as the game before it, more or less.
yeah, it's just like graphically, it's like I don't see why the Xbox One or the PS4 wouldn't be able to run something like this.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta ask, how were the sales for the console? Because
Not good. I don't think
then
the
maybe
PS3
that's the
and
reason?
360 sales combined sold over 1 million.
Then maybe that's the reason. So it's like, okay, so the console numbers were so insignificant, but the PC ones were so much bigger. We might as well just give this out to PC instead of console. Then I can kind of understand it, but I doubt this is going to be a PC exclusive forever.
What was the because it wasn't really an expansion. It was technically its own standalone
Enemy
game.
Within.
Enemy Within, which I played, and
Didn't
it's
that-
very fun. It's a lot of
Didn't that also come out on console?
or yeah, it came.
I remember
I
it.
believe so.
What happened
Yeah, it did.
was it was a thing where it not only came out on console as a separate disc, but there was another disc, I believe, where it was like, okay, here's all of the DLC, including that, into this one disc, I believe.
Hmm.
Because looking at VD chart, it sold like the PS3 and Xbox 360 combined sold a little over 1 million. If I remember correctly, XCOM, within like a year or two of its release, it was on PlayStation Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's just one of those weird like situations where it's probably at this point they'll probably make their bulk of their money on PC, if anything.
Yeah. Which is like, okay, that's
And
understandable.
to be
That's fine.
fair, this doesn't look like that expensive of a game to make, which is why it probably could just make its money only on PC sales. So it's probably just a thing where they're like, listen, we can put it on PC, and then like within like a couple months to a year, we're gonna put it on consoles, and we'll make money either way.
Yeah.
So
And it's kind of, I'm actually kind of happy because I actually really, really really liked Enemy Within. Actually, that was probably my game of the year when it came out, because I'm into that whole thing where it's like upgrades, 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 and more upgrades, because that's
Like-
pretty much what was it. Because it was like, okay, do you want your one of your guys to be like a giant robot killing machine, or do you want him to have psychic powers, or do you want him to have like a giant flamethrower for a hand?
And to be fair, I think the year it came out was 2012, which wasn't exactly a stellar year for games.
No, yeah, it was. I mean, like, it wasn't awful. Like,
I don't
it
know.
wasn't
That
barren.
year had quite a few games in it. I mean, that was the same year that
Didn't Bioshock Infinite come out that same year?
No, that was
No,
2013.
That was
2012 actually had quite a few stuff, if I remember correctly. I mean,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, I think that was the same year that was
Okay, I think. Well, just looking at this
Dishonored
date,
came out that year. I'm pretty sure.
Wait, what? Dishonored?
Oh no, not.
Dishonored did come out that year.
Dishonored was like, I mean, it was okay, but I don't think
Sleeping
it was
Dogs
anything.
came out that year.
No, Sleeping Dog was 2013, I think.
No, it was
So
2012.
No,
Oh, shit, yeah, it's
no,
2012.
so it was
Okay,
Sleeping
so-
Dogs, Dishonored, Hitman Absolution. And I
Didn't
think
Mass
Tomb
Effect
Raider?
3? Didn't Mass Effect?
Mass
No,
Effect
Tomb
3
Raider was-
came out that year as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mass
so,
Effect 3, Borderlands, Max Payne 3.
So it wasn't
Halo
exactly
4.
awful. I mean, it had a lot of good games come out.
It was just the big thing about it was just a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those
It's-
are always nice. Those are always
It's kind
nice
of
when,
how
like, a game
Wolfenstein: The New
definitely-
Order was this year.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, last year.
It's always nice when, like, a game where it's like, this is probably going to be okay, and then it comes out and it's like, oh, this is actually really fun. I mean, there's no deep story to it. There's no, like, Max Payne level or Bioshock Infinite level kind of story to it, but it is fun, and I can appreciate that.
Max Payne does not have a good story. Let's get
Well,
back.
I don't
What
think it
Max
has an
Payne,
awful story.
what Max Payne 3 had going for it wasn't necessarily its story, but just the fact that like the whole presentation of effectively
was Man on Fire.
It was
but actually
Man on
doing
Fire
it well
like-
in a video game.
See, I would totally play a Man on Fire game that starred Denzel Washington.
I would play a game. I would play a Training Day game. All right.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Care for Man on Fire.
Really? You didn't like it?
Everyone talks about, oh man, it's so badass and everything, but like the whole first hour and a half of the movie is just him bullshitting around with
With the family and
Young-
everything, yeah.
yeah, with the little kid, and I was like, I don't care.
So, the best part that everyone talks about is when he shoves the C4 up, the bomb up the guy's ass, and he goes, "I wish you had more time," and that's the one that everyone talks about.
Yeah, it's one of those. I think the best part of Man on Fire is that it was a better Punisher movie than the Punisher movie that came out that same year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With, what was it? John Travolta and what's his face? Thomas
what's
Jane,
his
right?
name? Yeah, Thomas Jane.
Who I actually liked as the Punisher. I thought he didn't do bad.
Yeah, he
It's
was.
just
Well, the best
everything else
Punisher
is
thing he
awful.
did was Dirty Laundry.
Oh yeah, by the Power Rangers rated R dude.
Well, the guy who funded Avi Arad, you know.
Wasn't that the same guy who did Dread? Or
He was a
Yeah,
producer.
well,
on it, right? He
he's
wasn't
the producer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I remember
what do you
some
guys
of
think about? Did any of you guys ever play the Enemy Unknown or no?
No.
I played Enemy Unknown. I didn't finish it. It was fun, but as Fernando had mentioned before the podcast, for whatever reason, I just didn't get the grab to play it all the way through. But I did think it was fun.
Understandable, yeah. It is kind of a chore and a half because it's like the way that you basically go through it is like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do this for this guy, I gotta go over here, I gotta buy this, and this, I gotta research this and that, and it's like, oh my god, and you get
Well,
overloaded.
actually, for me, the problem was when it first started, I kept on thinking the entire time, because like it eventually started to get to the point where I was wondering to myself, I feel like there should be a big mission happening soon that hasn't happened yet. That's sort of so supposed to be like, okay, now this is where like
yeah,
the game really gets going. Or something
yeah,
like that.
I can understand that.
You know what would have made that game better if that instead of being in an underground base, you were on a starship, maybe the Enterprise, and you had to equip your
Oh
away
my
team.
god, that'd be amazing. That would be fucking amazing.
I think that'd be a very different game.
I'm just saying if they were to make a game like that, I would throw my money continuously at the screen until I got it, because that sounds amazing.
Honestly, you would
Fernando-
think that
Fernando-
after so long, there would be a good Star Trek game at some point.
I was gonna say Fernando wishes for this game, and then when it finally comes out, he finds out the crew is filled with nothing but Chakotay.
I don't know which race that is.
It's not a race; it's a
Don't either.
person.
I don't know who that is.
He's from a Voyager. I think he's like the I think he's like the Maquis dude whose like only notable feature is just that he's part of the Maquis. Oh no. He's the or he's the guy like I think his only notable feature is just that he has a huge face tattoo or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again,
Sick reference,
characters
bro.
that-
Your references are out of control.
I'm just like the Star Trek show I didn't see.
Well, again, like,
it's
characters
even worse. It turns out it's not Voyager, but it takes place in Enterprise.
Okay, I would play a game with Scott Bakula.
So I figured out why everyone hates Enterprise over the weekend. Or
Why?
when I was at work this week. So, I guess spoilers for the very end of Enterprise, if anyone cares.
Go ahead. Might as well.
So my assistant manager, he was explaining to me why we were just talking about Star Trek, and then he just started going off about how Enterprise was this completely underrated, great show. And I was like, so why does everyone hate it? And he says, like, because they kept hinting at this big thing. It's like, oh, there's this time war where people from all across all of the history of the Starfleet were getting cut in, and people would show up and cut out, and it's this war across all of creation. And Riker shows up in the last season, and everyone's like, oh shit, it's Commander Riker. What's he gonna do? It's fucking William T. Riker here. The Time War's here. The shit's about to go off. And then, the camera turns to Riker, and it looks like he's about to deliver this big speech, and and you're watching it going, yes, this is it. Shit's about to go down. And he says, computer, end simulation.
Yeah.
And so the entire show was a simulation in the holodeck.
What?
I think that was an important. It didn't help that the first.
That's how they
episode-
got around the whole them messing with canon in the early things, because it was supposed to take place before the original series, and they kind of fucked with canon a bit. And everyone was like, "Oh, what are they going to do about that?" And they hinted at this time war, and they're like, "Oh, that's how they messed with canon." But nope, it was all a simulation. And
Probably should have gone with the Time War, fellas. I mean,
So wait.
you could bring in the
What?
Doctor and the Daleks.
Yeah, that's
What?
why everyone hates Enterprise.
Yeah.
So wait, the
Because
time,
they watched
I was like, this is
4
gonna
or
be the
5
most-
seasons of it, and it was, oh no, that was just simulation holiday.
But also
When
to
you
help
said the time war, I was
first-
like, this is gonna be the most dope ass Doctor Who Star Trek crossover.
I would know.
That's what I was just saying. It was like, oh
what?
yeah, you can bring in the Daleks, you can bring in the Nightmare
Please, I don't
Child
wanna-
and all.
I don't want to mix up those two universes because Doctor Who's kind of shit.
Actually,
It's
there
like
was.
you have to be very nerdy to actually be to get into it. You have to be
Okay, you say that. I don't think it's that you have to be very nerdy. It's that I think you have to be very nerdy and have 2 X chromosomes.
I think you got to be nerdy and kind of forgiving.
Yeah,
Very
It's
forgiving
got to be like,
monsters.
you know what, fuck it. It's gonna be like, you know what, fuck it. I like the character and I like what.
Actually, there was a pretty good comic book. I think it was done by IDW or Dark Horse, where they did a Next Generation and Doctor Who crossover.
That was IDW because they usually go for shit like that.
Oh, but it was actually pretty cool on crossover where they had the Doctor meet, the 4th Doctor at first meets Captain Kirk in one of the moments, but then it goes back to Matt Smith's Doctor meeting Picard.
This sounds like someone's live journal fan fiction.
That's all IDW does is fan fiction.
Yeah.
But it does have some legitimately decent stuff on there. I mean,
Well, why isn't
Lock and
Bendis in
Thieves
there?
on there for a while.
Oh, Lock and Key was IDW?
Yeah, that was really good. That was really,
IDW
really good.
also often has a number of artists do comic adaptions of famous, well, not famous, but really well-liked books and shit like that. Clive Barker often has a few of his books.
Correct me if
Isn't
I'm
that
wrong,
what
but doesn't
Matt
IDW
Frank
with
does?
do
Is he does
Godzilla?
the Godzilla one?
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. With what's his face?
Matt Frank.
Matt Frank.
Yeah, that's what
Matt
I
Frank.
I read some of the Matt Frank Godzilla stuff. It was pretty good, actually. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, same here. I like the Transformers one. I'm pretty sure he did a Transformers one.
Yeah, he did. I know he did the art for the Transformer. Yeah.
Yeah, which was nice.
But I know for Godzilla, he did I think he did a lot of the writing and some of the storyboarding for it. I don't think he actually wrote it.
Yeah. But to go back to Lock and Key for a minute, I'm still surprised that it's like the son of Stephen King was actually the one who wrote all that, and it was like, oh,
Well, I told my dad about that.
or who was at
very
least part of
surprised,
it, you know?
But like as he himself had pointed out, it's that he didn't want people judging him as, oh, well, it's Stephen King's son. That's how we're going to judge the work. It's like, oh no, this is someone else's completely different thing.
Yeah.
The other
It's
thing,
a
I
smart
guess,
call, dude.
the other thing I kind of like about IDW is that I know not a whole lot of people necessarily like all his work, but I do kind of like the work of Menton 3, and he pretty much does all his stuff through IDW.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the weirdest part of Lock and Key was when Daniel Radcliffe walked through with some horns on his head. I thought that was really unnecessary.
So, what's that guy done, Charles? The guy you were just talking about, the guy who's like,
Menton 3?
Yeah, like, what would you suggest of his that's good, or that you...
Well, for the most part, he just does, like, he does like, extra art for a bunch of other series. Like, sometimes it's either cover stuff, or sometimes it's just, like, short stories.
Mm-hmm.
His stuff's very, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure what I would exactly recommend. Like, the two main things he's done that you could find on IDW would be, like he's done a lot of other stuff, but his only main big things would be Monocyte and Memory Collectors. And
I think I've heard of Memory Collectors. I've heard of that before.
I'm trying to remember if the name of the guy is Steve Niles is the one that does the 30 Days of Night stuff. I haven't read any of this stuff, but he often collaborates with him a lot on certain projects. Mm-hmm. So there's that.
All right. I kind of like the fact that
I wasn't
totally
expecting to give a recommendation here on IDW, if that's what you're...
Sorry, no, because like I like some of IDW's stuff every now and then, and it's like I'm kind of in the what is it? I'm kind of screwed when it comes to comics because like I'm bored with the DC stuff because they're doing that whole convergence thing, and it's like, okay, this is dumb, and then the whole Secret Wars thing is like confusing as shit. So
I'm sorry, why would you still be reading DC after 2011?
Yeah. Hey, I'm like the abused housewife, Fernando. Leave me alone.
Like, I was reading Batwoman until they fucked me over on that.
Awesome thing, Fernando. My comic book store, they're selling the entire Batwoman thing, like the good one, all of it. It's like $20 or something. Every single issue.
I would suggest checking it out. It's really good.
I might, yeah, because I noticed because they also had like all the Batman Beyond issues,
Is that Gail
like
Simone
the old
Batwoman?
ones for like 21.
Is that Gail Simone Batwoman?
No. It was the one that they brought in for the New 52.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not Gail Simone. It's somebody else.
It was pretty cheap, and it was like every single issue, at least the good ones that I get from what I saw.
I think it's like up to issue 27. Those are good.
I think they might have had up to that, maybe, like 27 or, like, I think up to 30, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, you're still in the range. You're going to get, like, a couple bad cons. But is this one of those things where the way it was escalating, it was really leading to a really cool showdown.
Yeah.
But then they were like, oh, you can't have these two characters get married because DC, even though I just saw a video.
Because reasons, basically.
I just saw an 8-minute video DC just released. Like, here's how we've supported gay people for all of our years because we love gay people, and this is the LGBT month, right? But they mentioned we had the first lesbian character to have her own comic and wouldn't allow her to get married and got rid of the creative team behind them because they didn't want to go with our thing, so we retconned it so that never happened and then split them up because we don't like gay people. But we love gay people! Well, we're not going to mention this.
I wish I had never fucking brought up IDW now.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I this is kind of my fault because I was focusing on the comics thing and all because, like I said, I'm kind of looking for new comics and stuff. But no, I just want to tell Fernando that, yeah, they're selling, like, those issues, like all those good issues for like $20-$25 in my comic book store.
It's a good deal. If anything, the art on it is beautiful.
Yeah.
So.
I bought the Batman Beyond comics, like the ones that they were doing way back then, like I think, what was it, 2010? Which they were all really good.
Was it like a 5-part miniseries? I think I read those.
It was like like up to 10 or 12, like,
Okay.
and it was like for like $15, and I was like, shit, yeah, especially since like they were all in good condition, like perfect condition, and back then they were like $3. So I was like, shit, yeah, I'm gonna go for that.
I love how we just turned into the Leog at this point.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, it's like, what can we say about XCOM? Like, I'm the only one that's like played it all the way to the end, and I've already told my thing where I'm like, hey, yeah, hope it's good. Don't really care about the graphics.
Snake people.
Snake people.
Honestly, that was the part I got the most excited for. Oh my god, there's snake people! That's awesome.
That is.
Fernando, they're called Naga. They are my new waifu. Please respect them.
Please,
I'm
PC
sorry.
about it. Be PC.
I forgot Rocky has his own snake people body pillow with him at all times.
I wonder
Hey,
how
I'm not
much.
the-
Okay, honestly,
I'm
how
not the
much
only
do those
one,
fucking
okay?
sell? Body pillows?
Body pillows.
You know what I
how
wonder?
much do those fucking sell?
I
Seriously?
wonder if they have My Little Pony ones just for all those
Oh,
Do you
years.
really have to wonder?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they
dude,
exist.
There's
I mean,
one
someone
where
made
they're
a-
human. There's one where it's like they're humanized. So I would totally guess that they have one where they're actually like fucking ponies and shit.
Didn't they make like blow up little ponies with like
Ugh.
and stuff?
Yeah.
It wasn't a blow up. It wasn't a blow up doll. It was just like a human sized sex doll.
It's still fucking
Like a plush. I think it was like because there was the one that was the fleshlight, and I think there was like the very similar one that was like also made out of the same material plush, but it was like more human sized.
yeah.
Wait. Yeah, I threw up in my mouth.
But
Oh! That fucking grosses you out. You who like you're so familiar with so many fucking
With big porn.
okay, hey, let's not give up shit. We're all familiar with this. We are not saints here at all.
The fact that you fucking have Rule 34 recommendations and you're already like invalidates you from ever complaining about it.
You know what? Here's the thing. The listeners here do not know how filthy we really are because they did not hear our pre-recordings, which were all fucked up on all of our
Rocky,
accounts.
let's bring up stuff we specifically cut out of the previous podcast.
Hey, I'm not saying. I'm just saying it was fucked up.
That Rule 34 discussion was on one of the podcasts. If
Actually,
I
it
remember correctly.
totally was.
God damn
There's
it,
even
guys.
the thing where we talked about Shadman, you and me.
You like fucking bring that up all the goddamn time. You
Because
know
it was
that.
awesome.
All the goddamn time. I said
Ryan.
it fucking once. And
No, I was saying to Ryan he likes to bring up the Shadman story all
Because
the
he was
fucking time.
awesome.
Hey Ryan, fuck you. Hashtag shots fired.
While we're bringing things back,
Let's not bring that back. Let's just leave that as a
let's
joke.
move on. But I will actually say something that Fernando brought up is that it's cool that they're bringing in that they're not just rehashing the old aliens, where it's like, oh, guess what? You get to see the Greys again. You get to see the Robo Hulks, and you get to see the. It's nice that they're actually bringing in new designs and new characters, more or less. Like, oh, you might see some of the older ones for all you know, but it's nice they're bringing in new ones, more or less.
Oh man, yeah. I just hope I love looking at like alien designs and as much as quiche as it was to like see like, oh hey, we have the old school like gray aliens. That's only cool for a little bit.
But yeah, it's only cool for a little bit where it's like. And I think that's the difference between what I keep forgetting what the third person XCOM is called. What was it? The Bureau.
Declassified.
Right. Yeah. Like that's the difference between the Bureau and Enemy Within was that Enemy Within kept bringing in more and more new aliens. Where the Bureau, it was like, okay, we got 3 different enemies. That's all you're gonna see throughout this entire game.
I mean, to be fair, I can never remember what it's called, so I'll just call it XCOM. Isn't Mad Men popular now, guys?
Right. Yeah. Seriously,
But
I would love. I really enjoy when we bring in like 1950s Art Deco games or like art styles
60s.
for games, or 1950s to 1960s. Like yeah,
I've always had a fond appreciation for like 1960s aesthetics. That's why.
cool. Yeah, it's
That's
awesome.
why I love like the Fallout design of that apocalypse. Like it's a futuristic, like kind of 60s fashion and like style within it that I really dig.
Yeah, totally. Like what is it? That game that came out on Kickstarter a while back. We Happy Few. That it's kind of got that kind of thing going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So on to the next news story.
onto-
Which
I was
is,
gonna say, if you're gonna exhaust every single fucking thing you can talk about from that, yeah.
Sorry. On to the next thing, which is, I believe it's going to be a two-parter because both of them are pretty short. It's Steam announced the Steam machines when they're going to come out, and they brought in, and Steam announced that finally, after so freaking long, that they have a refund policy.
So for the Steam machine thing, the whole release date is that the machines themselves are actually going to be on shelves to purchase by November of this year. Or if you pre-order them, then you'll be able to get yours by October.
Right.
all snap, son.
And I don't fucking get it, like, at all. But that's probably because I don't understand. I would actually like to talk to someone who knows the Steam machine, but does not own a PC. You know what I mean? Because it's like, who's this gonna fucking appeal to? Because
The same crowd that buys Alienware.
and how many people buy Alienware? Because isn't Alienware like kind of shitty or something?
I have an Alienware computer.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't.
I heard
but I
from
didn't buy.
some people
I
where it's
didn't.
like
I didn't.
shitty for some reason. And no one tells me why.
It's not
Well,
shitty,
no,
it's just
it's-
overpriced.
Okay.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I didn't pay for it, and it is true that like if I went to go search out for each component part myself, yes, I'd be able to make something cheaper that ran the same stuff, if not better. But I didn't care. I just wanted a new computer, and it was sort of a birthday present, so there was that. Just with the Steam machine, it's like basically just what it is it's just a PC that's immediately installed with Steam OS.
Right.
So,
And I don't understand. Like, I keep saying, I understand the Steam Link thing, where it's like, oh, just jack this thing in and you'll have your entire library of games right then and there. And it's like, okay, I can get that. I understand that because it's a bitch to move around a fucking computer if, you want to bring your Steam stuff in, like your games over to like a friend's house or whatever. It's a pain in the ass. So this little tiny thing that's like the size of an iPhone for like, what, $50, $60 or whatever, and you could just hook it into a TV, yeah, that's understandable. But I can't understand this. And yeah, it might be because I own a PC, but I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's a wondering who they're marketing to because the PC crowd is a lot more tech savvy.
Yeah.
The console crowd is tech savvy, but probably not as much as the PC. But they're gonna just stick
And
with
they already own a
consoles.
console. Yeah, they already own a console. Like,
I mean, they could be trying to get into the console business, but it would make more sense to release a more straightforward console than this like tiered PC stuff.
yeah, where
Well,
it's
it
like,
doesn't
oh,
help.
you can buy this thing for $500 and you get all these things. You can buy this thing for $1,500, and it's like, no, just make a console that's simple, easy to use, and yeah, that has the Steam OS, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I even understand the controller to an extent, kind of.
do you? Because I look at the controller and I think to myself, I do not get what the point of this is.
Well, it's like, okay, it's like, okay, fine. You guys want to do the controller thing? Fine. That's not as expensive to make as a freaking, like, Steam machine. But, like, I find no use for the Steam machine whatsoever at all.
I don't know. I think it might be a flop from what I see because I think there's no real hype behind it. There's no positive hype behind it either. There's just like it's happening. Who cares?
It's pretty much, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we're doing this, and it's like everyone's reaction is, okay, all right.
When Fernando said it's happening, all I can think about now is just that image of like Ron Paul shaking his hands in the air. It's like it's happening, folks. It's happening.
Yeah.
You could have stopped this, but
originally
it's
come
happening.
from?
Where did it come from?
Yeah, like
It came from-
originally.
Probably one of
It
these
came from Poll,
Bro.
aka the politically incorrect board on 4chan,
Uh-huh.
aka the board that also came up with the Happy Merchant, the Goim No, he didn't do nothing, that type of stuff.
Okay.
I thought you were thinking of Mark Wahlberg talking to a plant.
Well, I guess there's that with the Steam machine. There's not much else really to talk
Not
about.
really. And then there's the refund thing, which is like, finally, guys, you finally do your freaking...
When EA has you beat.
Yeah, it's like finally better late than never. But the interesting thing is the people that are actually bitching about this, and they're bitching about how 2 hours is too long. A thing, a timeline, which for me is like too long. That's too short, really. Because for me, I don't really get a good handle on a game until I'm like at least 3-4 hours in.
Wait. What is it? 2 hours too long? 2 hours too long for what?
Well, it's like the thing is, okay, you can sell this game if you haven't played this game for more than 2 hours. And for me, it's like I don't really get a good handle on a game and get a full idea of it until I've played it for at least like 3 or 4 hours. But
This
people are
seems
complaining, saying, "Oh no, 2 hours is too short," and it's like, what fucking? People are saying, "Oh, you can totally beat a game in 2 hours," and it's like, yeah, if you're a fucking speedrunner and everything. Like, how many games are in 2 hours?
To me, this seems like this is designed for people then where it's not like you played the game, find out you don't like it, and you want a refund. It's more like you pick up the game, find out that your machine absolutely cannot run it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, I guess I gotta return it now.
Well, not even that. It's also like, I mean, it's just me that's like that, where it's like, oh, I gotta play this for 3 hours to get a full opinion. But I can bet that there are obviously people that are like, okay, I've played this for at least an hour or a half an hour. I don't like this. This isn't my thing. I'm going to return it. I can get that easy.
I mean, for comparison's sake, the way Good Old Games does it is that you actually have, and they even say, like, you would think it would be ridiculous, but as far as they can tell, no one's really cheated the system this way. Where it's like the refund lasts up for about 30 days.
Which, that seems fair. That seems more than fair. And I haven't really heard anything bad about Good Old Games. Granted, I don't really use Good Old Games as much as Steam.
Like, one could almost make the argument that maybe that's even a bit too excessive, but as they said, like, they don't think many people are abusing the system near as they can tell.
Well, I mean, Good Old Games is also a weird example because Good Old Game has a small but loyal fan base, where Steam has a very diverse and complaining fan base. So it's really hard to compare, like, a giant like Steam, which sees a wider variety of customers in Good Old Game, which is very niche at best.
Yeah. But I just don't understand it, because it's funny, like, the people complaining about this being like, oh, this is too long, and, 2 hours is too long, and people are going to abuse the system, and it's like, these are the people that are like that pregnancy game that I told you about. It's like, these are the people that make games that are barely fucking games, where it's like, oh, this is at most a multiple choice system at most. And, I understand games like Gone Home, where it's like, okay, maybe, but even then, it's like, do you really think the people that actually enjoy that game are going to try and abuse the system and try and fuck you over?
And
like,
in that
everyone?
moment,
No.
all the developers for Twine cried out in horror.
I think you could beat a game like Journey in 2 hours.
Oh yeah, probably, but it's like, also, I personally think it's like, if you enjoyed the experience, I would like to give people more credit than these game developers are giving, and I would like to think that if they enjoyed the experience enough, I doubt they're actually going to give away the game. If you liked Gone Home enough, which I mean, not a big fan, but I don't hate it. Then, if you enjoyed the experience, then I doubt they're gonna just fucking, these people who bought it are gonna just sell it away or give it away or abuse the system, And I think that really does kind of set kind of a mentality for these game creators, that they have so little faith in their customers, I guess.
Well,
they assume that everyone is gonna abuse this thing.
I can see why, like, these smaller developers, that they make these really low budget but yet really fun, interesting gameplay games they don't really have much to them, but they're just kind of fun gameplay experiences. Like, what was that Western game that Jeff was playing a while back?
Oh, you're gonna have to be more specific.
That, like, 2D style Western game where you could shoot to the side and down and such and such.
No more. The Hero game, the one with the bunny.
Not a hero?
No, I think he's talking about. No, Jeff and John played it for an Indie Friday, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like something like that, where it's like these small games that they're probably only, like, let's say 5 hours at most to the beat. And if you could just be like, hey, I experienced like most of this game already in 2 hours because I'm a diligent player, I'm gonna just keep doing this. Like I've heard of stories where people with GameStop that they would be like, oh, like they would abuse the system all the time when they could return game and yada yada yada. So I can see why some of those smaller developers are kind of a little iffy on them because they don't make much money to begin with, and a lot of people could cheat those systems. But like those AAA games that like, yeah, kind of go fuck yourself. I have no sympathy for AAA developers anymore just because the way that just the rampant abuse of money and just how much wastefulness there really is in that part of the industry.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't care about you guys, but the little guys that make these small, lower tier games, I can see how that can affect them.
Yeah, I can understand that. And it's not even like indie games. Like it's not like the dude who made Fez is bitching about this. I'm talking like these are the guys who are like, literally the game is like 20, 30 minutes tops kind of level of game, you know? Like, again, for lack of a better example, like Depression Quest or the pregnancy game, or those are the people that are actually complaining about this.
Yeah. Can I just stop you right now because I just realized something? No, this policy doesn't really matter anyways because when most people buy Steam games, they don't really even play them immediately after they buy them until like a few months later when they realize, oh yeah, I have a backlog of Steam games.
Oh yeah. I have like 80 games in my Steam. I think I've played maybe a little bit more than half of them.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't really help when you put in that sharing option where it's like, oh yeah, let me share my 400 other games with my friend who has like 200 already.
Yeah, in the long run,
I don't think this is going to be a problem. Honestly. Yeah, like a gigantic, big problem. Honestly.
Like I think the CD Projekt, the good old games, like 30-day thing. I think a 30-day return date is probably the optimum thing for anything, really, if you want to get down to it. Returning stuff, but yeah, you should be able to return things digitally, but it's such a weird thing. I don't think anybody's really gotten it down digital returns yet.
Yeah, hopefully I think we will someday. It's just like.
Yeah, just with how Infinite Structure is working, we don't really go to shops anymore. We buy everything online and a lot of stuff more digitally now, especially our entertainment content like video games, music, movies, and yada yada yada. So this is definitely going to have to be an argument that's going to have to be made within the next 10 years, especially as internet structure tends to evolve. As we see more people trying to be like, oh shit, Google Fiber is way better than everything we have. We need to start stepping up our game because everybody's going to go to Google.
Yeah. Fuck, I would kill for Google Fiber to end up in Chicago.
I would eat somebody's face off in Florida for Google Fiber to get here.
Isn't that weird? It's like Google Fiber.
There's a fucking Google headquarters 2 cities away from me, and they haven't put Google Fiber anywhere in Washington. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck is up with you guys? I know they have it. You can guarantee they fucking have it at that one office. But
of course they have.
It's like, go fuck yourself, guys.
It's because you live in Seattle, and the project head manager keeps killing himself whenever it gets rainy. It just takes a while there, man.
That happened 3 times, and all of a sudden...
Wait, what? That actually happened 3 times?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
I was going to say. Maybe, Armstrong, you should move out of Seattle if depression or whatever.
One grunge icon blows his brains out, allegedly, and everyone thinks Seattle's where suicides are.
Seattle. Where music genres are born and die in.
Seattle, where dentists populate the area.
What?
High suicide rate.
Okay.
I mean, Seattle is basically the suicide forest of Japan.
I wish. That'd be fucking awesome.
I just want to
see like dead musicians out in the street of Seattle everywhere.
All these musicians have shotguns everywhere.
Best tourist attraction yet.
Isn't there like some park in Japan called like where they have like some tree called the hanging tree because like
that's what he was referring to.
Okay. It's not a park.
It's a forest.
It's a forest.
Entire forest. Where
I would say
God,
it's actually
fucking
name, but I
morose.
do not know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
I forget
how
what the name of it
morbid
is.
can you get at Japan? Seriously.
I mean, they even have like signs outside the forest saying like, "Hey, listen, if you're thinking about this, please call this number."
Yeah, please, we don't want this to keep happening to this forest, guys.
Here's the thing: there's so many bodies there that there's been cases of people that have walked to go commit suicide and have ran out because they've seen so many decomposing corpses that they haven't had time to collect yet because there's so many.
Well, Parks and Rec is really... they really need to step up the game up there.
I mean, they could get Leslie Knope, but even Leslie Knope would commit suicide after working there for like a year.
See, Ron Swanson, he'd be like, all right, this is interesting.
Ron Swanson's just sort of like, well, they're dead, right? Yeah.
Good
Looks like they're
fertilizer.
making material for me.
Yeah, good fertilizer. They're doing the right thing.
It's gonna be Ron Swanson. He's watched a season or two of Hannibal. He's like, I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
Oh my
I've
god.
been seeing this amazing show called Hannibal.
You see,
The
you're
man
going to want to
eater is
tie
a
your
genius.
noose with a double loop knot. See, the
Yeah.
Forester's knot is it doesn't sustain the weight power that you're going to be putting on the rope.
Yeah, he's teaching people how to kill themselves properly.
Now remember, kids, it's not across the hall; it's down the aisle.
Awesome.
This is you know how we left out the fucked upness of this podcast before we recorded? I guess we're bringing it back now.
Oh, please, this is nowhere even close to what we were talking about.
That really isn't. It really isn't. There were way more rape jokes. I mean, wait, what?
I don't know about that, but
What, you didn't hear my whole Bill Cosby rant? No, wait, that was another show.
no, that's
There's
like
one thing
5 or
Ryan likes
5
to
or 6
leave in the
Cosby jokes.
podcast. It's all the rape jokes.
Hey, I actually live them out? I gotta stop doing that.
You just hear a fapping sound in the background.
Fat. So I think are we done with the
Well,
news?
there is, I guess, Armstrong
There's
brought up one
the
other
last
story,
thing.
which was...
Oh yeah, what was it?
Dark Souls 3.
Right.
3.
Wait,
3.
Now, earlier in the week, there was a leak somewhere.
It was VG Charts claimed to have, obviously unconfirmed source, that not only was Dark Souls 3 going to be announced at E3 for a 2016, early 2016 release, is that Miyazaki, who is the mastermind behind Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne, was going to be working on it, unlike Dark Souls 2.
Which, right then
And
and there, it's like, that is impossible, because if it's coming out in early 2016, and he's still working on stuff for Bloodborne even after its release, there's no way he's going to move on to another project.
Well, yeah, it just seemed like another, like, oh, whatever, just some website capitalizing on, let's get some clicks today.
Right.
But then yesterday, Rooster Teeth's gaming side arm, I don't know what the fuck to call it, the No, claimed to have gotten another leak, which basically confirmed Dark Souls 3, and they actually had supposed screenshots from the game. And from what you can see, it looks very much like Dark Souls, obviously, but it takes more of it looks more like Dark Souls 1 than Dark Souls 2, where the item management on the side of the screen looks more like Dark Souls 1. And apparently there's going to be some new system. It's going to look at 1 to 4 players, which you would assume that means you could summon one person and then you could have 2 people who invade your game.
So like before, anyways.
Yeah,
Right.
and that there's going to be something called sacrificing bodies, where the only
They
way
say
the only way you can enter other people's games is if you drag a killed enemy's body and then to a specific area and then you sacrifice it.
Jesus.
They also mention it may be used as a way to set up new bonfires. So some people think this is a way of essentially adding a quick save button to the Dark Souls series.
Oh, well, that'd be nice. That's been something that's been like really long overdue, I think.
I wonder if they're gonna do what they did in the newest Bloodborne patch, where they made it a lot easier to summon your friends in your game to help you out.
Oh, the new password system?
Yeah.
They haven't discussed that yet.
They haven't even acknowledged it yet.
Yeah. Well, no, my point is, like, that wasn't even announced in the leak how the hell, like, co-op was going to work.
Yeah.
There's also some other system apparently called the Heat Up system, which, when initially described, didn't really make a whole lot of sense because they were just basically saying, like, oh, bosses will, change during the battle. It's like, well, that's how a lot of bosses in these games work anyways. But they're suggesting it would go as far as, like, if you entered the boss battle in a particular way or something like that, the boss itself would be completely different or something along those lines.
They said, like, 12 areas, 15 bosses, and then, like, 200 new weapons.
No, what they said was it was...
So Alan will finally stop complaining?
Well, there was one thing they said that was kind of a bit, irksome, because they said, like, 45 new enemies, 15 new bosses, then 100 new items, 100 new weapons, 200 new items, which includes, like, rings, consumables, etc. But they all preface it with not including stuff from previous games. Which immediately in my mind is like, I hope they're not planning to reuse a lot of the content. But then some of the screens they showed kind of looks like they're already going to go ahead and do that with some of the game. Not just in terms of items, but some of the screenshots actually look like they're areas from Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2, just with different things going on in them. Mm-hmm. Which I wonder if that's a bit much.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, like, why? It's like, why would they be chugging out another game so soon? I mean, like, I understood why Bloodborne came out after Dark Souls 2, because it was like, hey, 2 different teams, whatever. But if this is really Miyazaki's working on it, then there couldn't have been enough time from between when Bloodborne released.
It's clear, if these screenshots indeed are true and they are, like, indicative of a Dark Souls 3, it means there's no way in hell Miyazaki was at all working on this project.
Yeah.
That's just a flat-out lie. That this is a rumor because people know that, like, that was one of the big complaints with Dark Souls 2. And the fact of the matter is that, like, Namco is the type of company where, when they got that series, I'm pretty sure they just thought to themselves, well, shit, son, we're in the money now, so,
Maybe it's another Final Fantasy 15 Kingdom Hearts 3 where the director just switched, like, because the project was almost over, so he could switch over. Maybe it's just one of that. And then they just got the news wrong where it's like, they're making a Dark Souls 3, but since it's only the DLC he's working on for Bloodborne now, he's kind of doing both at the same time. And this could just all be conceptual art beforehand.
Well, I don't know, because this is just conceptual art. This is a bit much of... Like, this is a lot of work if this was just, like, conceptual stuff.
Yeah.
And in which case, that would also then show that this is most certainly not coming out early 2016.
Yeah, I really doubt it's 2016.
No, yeah.
I could believe early. Maybe they just got the dates wrong. Their leak was like 2016. Fuck, I meant 2017. God damn it! Fucking spell check.
Yeah, like 2017, being generous, I would say late. Being very, very generous, late 2016.
Yeah.
Again, assuming Miyazaki is working on this game, but again, I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
I think it's on the site though, where it's like, hey, Souls is Souls. I'll always keep an eye out for it. There's some things in here that look visually interesting, visually striking, but
Rocky's a soul man.
Just other than that, it's just sort of like I'm not even really sure what to think at this point, just because it's sort of like, well, I'll pay attention to it. But, I don't know, like, I'm almost wondering if... Because one of the problems I sort of had with Dark Souls 2 was it was trying to call too much back to Dark Souls 1 in a way where it almost felt like it didn't really have that much of an identity of its own. So it's sort of like one of those things where, like, honestly, the game probably would have improved itself if it had just given itself a new name and took place in a completely different universe. Still keep everything else in it, but just under, like, a different context and stuff like that, would probably mean it would have its own identity. So,
yeah.
Honestly, I think that's probably how these games would work better, where it's just, like, not too dissimilar to the Final Fantasy model, if you honestly want to think about it, where it's like, yeah, like, stylistically, thematically, aesthetically, all very similar to one another, but, not the same universe, not the same story, all kind of a bit different and all kind of playing with very different things.
Or maybe Namco Bandai took some notes from Activision and Ubisoft, and you're like, you know what, this is our big franchise. We're gonna make an annual franchise.
Well, again,
War 2 in 2017.
Which, God, it's like, I kind of hope that's not how it's going to go, because it's like, that's just going to remind me of, like, Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, where it's like, yeah, let's pump this out as fast as we can. It's like, oh, please no.
Well, as I said, I was saying, like, I would hope they would do this, but under no pretense that I think they were going to do that. It's like, I know for a fact that's not their style. They are just going to release the game because they know they are sitting on money. Especially because with something like Bloodborne, you had a fuck ton of people going, well, why isn't this on Xbox One? Why isn't this on PC? You know, From is hiding this game from us. Sony stole the game from us, people. So it's like one of those things where I'm sure Namco thinks to themselves, well, fuck it, man. If we just release another Dark Souls, people are going to eat that shit up, because why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
You know what? This is one of the worst things. This fucking entitlement that you're owed. You ain't owed shit. You're owed their job is to release a product, and you choose whether or not you want to fucking buy it. You're not owed shit. If it doesn't come out on something you have, then either go, oh, well, that sucks. Oh, well, maybe it'll release for my stuff, or buy a PS4. Don't get fucking like you're entitled to shit. All right?
All I can think about now is that one, like a couple of users I once saw really back in the day that said, you know what? If Grand Theft Auto 5 ever does come out on PC, fuck it. I'll just pirate it. And it's like, okay.
That's not going to help.
I guess you're more reason not to bring it to PC than if you're just going to outright not buy it.
That ain't going to help. You know?
What do you think? Rockstar is going to see that and you're like, you know what? This guy has a point. We should release it for free so this guy can get it because of that comment. Like, what does that comment show? That shows that you're a dickish PC user. And that they're like, you know what? Here's another reason why we shouldn't release it on PC.
Hey. You can't make fun of the PC Master Race.
I like
PC
how,
Master.
like, I'm the calm one. I'm the calm one here, and I am the PC guy. I like that.
Well, if we had Alan
stepping
on
the
here,
fuck out of here. Well, yeah, but that's Alan. I mean, Alan cares. He cares a little bit too much, and.
Anyway.
But it's like the council people are the ones that are like, I'm gonna fucking stab someone if you fucking talk about PC people one time, and it's like,
well, I just want to stab somebody because I'm Hispanic. That's just what we do, Ryan. Okay.
Well, you see, you aren't allowed to have guns, so it's sort
culture.
of like I gotta kill motherfuckers.
I'm not even fucking touching that. And remember, the white guy wasn't the white guy that usually shoves his foot up in his mouth is not the one who said it this time.
And hey, if it wasn't Hispanics, if it wasn't Hispanics, it's usually the Italians that were carrying the knives around as well.
Oh, yay.
Come on, guys. We all know it's the Russians.
Well, Ryan, don't be uncomfortable. You know for a fucking fact that is true. Don't even try to pretend.
Yeah,
I didn't know there was a big Italian knife wielding problem in Canada.
Didn't you guys see West Side Story?
I didn't know there were any Italians in.
I'm just saying, back in the day, it was a thing where Italians, generally speaking, unlike other people, probably didn't necessarily have access to guns or not as likely to get a gun because people are a bit sketchy about them. And of course, Italians being Italians, it's like, but I gotta kill someone somehow.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure
as an Italian, if that makes you feel any fucking better.
I'm pretty sure
Christ.
in the knife fight of Beat It, one of those guys was Italian. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Isn't that just
because Beat It is completely in the realm of reality of what happens in real life.
Are you saying it isn't?
No, not at all.
Wait. So when you guys had fights in your school, you guys didn't dress up in 80s regalia and had Michael Jackson played and then tied your hands together? Because that happened all the time.
Michael Jackson showed up the one day, and then he was never allowed back in the school for some reason.
And then he showed up in a white suit, and we started dancing simultaneously, and it kept playing
with the kids.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah, especially when he grabbed several of the kids. That was.
And he was saying that I'm going to take them to Neverland with Tinkerbell, and we're going to fly away. It got really strange.
Yeah, especially when he started talking about Jesus juice.
Exactly. And then he just moonwalked out of there, and it said, okay, no.
Buy my NES game!
Then the principal came out and he said, "What's this black man doing in our school?"
He says, "What is this? White? I mean black? I mean white? God damn it! What is he?"
Do you guys see that that video, that graduation video of the principal who like
Oh,
yelled?
yeah.
Wasn't
was
this
like-
last month or something where it's like,
Yeah.
and all you ungrateful students.
No, she was like talking and like people were like leaving the. It was like the. What's the name of the person who graduates with top honor? Yeah, the valedictorian I think was like talking, and then like some people were leaving the graduation, and then she's like, this is very rude. She's having a
everyone
speech,
was yelling
and
and
then she
shit.
says, "Oh, look who's leaving! All the black people."
and I just love the about face every person made. We're like, "What?"
Yeah, and all of them were like,
Just like-
"Oh, hell no!"
The best part was not the people who were like, "That's terrible." It was the people in the crowd who were like, "Oh shit, she's fucked."
Yeah.
In that moment, I would have been like, "Give me some popcorn. This shit's about to get good."
See, me, I've been like, give me a phone. I need to call cops up in here. 'Cause there's going to be shit that's going to go down.
Ryan is like, "These black people are scary."
There will come a day where something like this will
Martha,
happen
my
again.
pearls.
Why are they?
And
Why is the Negro population getting up?
Ryan just holds his purse closer to his chest.
Clutches his pearls.
Yeah.
Across
And I'm
the other
just
side of the street.
and I'm just sitting next to him, just elbowing him. This is about to get good.
And I'm like, yeah.
know-
I start like stepping like 5 feet away. Okay, Fernando. Bye.
There will be one of those videos one day where something very similar to this will happen, and instead of like the video just showing a bunch of people going to like, oh, and you just hear one person in the background say something, one person just say World Star, all in unison. Everyone will just yell out in the middle of the stadium, "Oh, World Star moment!"
Where did that come from?
From World Star. What do you
World Star.
think?
World Star Hip Hop.
Okay.
But the
How
weird
did
thing
that
is,
fucking gain traction? I mean,
the website.
Have you
just got
seen
bigger.
World Star videos? They're fucking hilarious.
not really.
You
no.
remember fucking Let's Do This? All of their fucking videos about people going crazy was from World Star Hip Hop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah.
none of
Oh,
those
yeah.
videos are shot correctly. It's all with the phone up, not to
That
Okay,
shit
yeah.
pisses me the fuck off.
What? Where they can't hold the fucking camera right? And yeah.
I'm like, guys, I want to see the whole fight, not just like the.
I don't
want to
see your feet.
Show part of it and then cut. Then he turns the camera to himself and go, "Oh shit, man, this is going off."
Oh
See
shit,
that
son!
shit?
Oh shit, son! Look at my new kicks. What?
Yeah. You see these new shoes? They were $5,000.
I hope they don't step on my gators.
Yo, my demo about to
Fuckers.
drop, son.
That's where
You can play the game, fans. At what point during those impressions did it become racist?
I think the Gators thing, maybe. Actually, no.
I
Probably
love
the
when I- when
$5,000
that said that.
shoes thing was probably when it got bad.
I thought it was when Ryan was like, "Black people are getting uppity. I need to call the police." I think that's when it happened. Because
Okay, I can't believe I'm going to have to say this, but no, I do not actually think these things, so, yeah.
full disclosure, Ryan is not racist.
No, I am not.
He has
Full
one Hispanic friend, and it's
full
me.
disclosure.
actually-
I went.
Okay, not to pull the whole I have a friend sort of thing, but no, I have way more than just one fucking Filipino person.
Full disclosure. I once
No.
called the cops because I saw a black person walk by my house once.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, he lives in Canada. Black people don't live in Canada.
Yeah, it was just sort of like, what's he doing
That's
here?
like
He was calling the cops to say like, "Man, you gotta come down here and see it. It's crazy."
Bring the news.
Yo, there's a black person. He might dance. It'll be cool and shit. He might.
Michael Jackson.
Instead of the police siren, they replaced the lights with giant boom boxes when they're going down the street.
Man, I miss boom. Okay, not even joking. I fucking miss boom boxes.
But by the way,
World
Ryan,
Star
for the
Five.
record, World Star is like that site also where like there was that video of the bus driver uppercutting the woman. Like that's where that came from, for instance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. That. Jesus. Okay. So they're. Okay. I'm remembering them now. Yeah. Ugh. Now it's understandable because freaking American, well, just people just love seeing stupid shit.
I just love the diverse sorts of topics we've covered. We've covered video games, comics, racism.
No joke, this might probably be, and I'm not even being sarcastic, this is probably one of our best, honestly. Because we actually were able to keep the video game stuff in there. We didn't go on 20-minute, like tirades or whatever, and like 20-minute off-topic stuff. I think this is probably our best, honestly.
Self-congratulatory podcast.
Well, way to toot your own fucking horn there.
During the
What?
podcast.
No, I'm giving you guys fucking credit because you guys were the ones that started most of the conversations, more or less. For the most part,
Yeah.
I actually just didn't really talk that much. I mean, compared to most of the time when I open my fucking mouth.
And now he has control over the mic, and it's just gone downhill from there.
Yeah, I don't do that bad.
Anyway,
I really do need to get a soundboard in so I can just mute people whenever I see fit.
I was about to say, we saw how the soundboard worked in the old Leog shows.
Yeah. Yeah,
One
I'm thinking of,
episode.
playing the freaking, what is it? The Price is Right horn? The boom boom ba-dum.
Wah, wah. Anyway, I think we can all agree we've run our course as a podcast.
Yes.
I think we've exhausted all topics, and we should say goodbye to our loyal 10 listeners.
Yeah. Well, at least 6 of them are going to leave once we start hitting about the race thing and everything.
Are you kidding?
No, you see, I was going to say, actually, no. Judging by, like, the listeners and everything of Rage Select, Double Toasted, and all the like, we'll probably get increased traffic.
What they're talking about race relations? I gotta hear this.
Yeah,
I gotta listen to this and then complain how much I hate them talking about race relations.
exactly. Yeah, that's
Why
pretty
didn't you guys talk about, like, fun stuff like you did back in the old days? I totally listened to that stuff before.
You mean like how they did in the old days?
Like how they totally did talk about race relations and everything? And
Anyway.
politics?
Yeah, but
But,
Dumb.
yeah, time to go. Thank you, all of our 5 listeners for listening to this. I'm Ryan Graff, and
I like how you decrease it every single time.
I know, because it gets much worse.
it just decreases the longer we go, really.
Yeah. But I'm Ryan, like I said, I'm Ryan Graff, and with me today has been Fernando Rodriguez.
I swear Ryan is a racist.
I'm not cutting that out, just in case. I'm not taking no chances.
He calls me a spick every episode. It's really
Shut up!
degrading.
No one's supposed to know that! This is why I pay you.
I'm sorry, sir. Anyway.
Charles Armstrong
No comment.
and Charles Rocky.
I like how, in Ryan's defense about how he wasn't a racist, he claimed he paid off Fernando as if he were a migrant worker in front of Home Depot.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Senor Graft is
I
very
pay
good.
you to keep quiet.
Senor Graft, he treat us well. Ese.
He gave us.
Are you working on his
sandwiches.
pool or his backyard next?
Okay, I'm not. Okay, let's be real. I'm too poor to have either. So.
I was about to say, he lives in Chicago. He obviously does not have either.
Hey, you say that, but no, it's kind of a bitch because I live in an apartment all around me, like middle class to high class fools, with like giant freaking fountains in the front. It's like, what the hell?
Yep. And goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you.